morning, everybody. Welcome to A Simple Southern Life. I wanted to bring you out here and show you my garden. I'm going to do a full garden tour. It is June 25th, 2023, and it is hot. So we're going to do this early in the morning before it gets too hot. It's supposed to be triple digits today. So I'm going to start here on my patio and kind of show you guys what I got going on. This area over here is kind of like my staging area. I've got my hosta here that I grew last year, and it overwintered and then it kind of died back, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come back, and it came back really pretty this year. And then I just got a couple of flowers and stuff over here. I want to show you how you can grow a lot of food in a small space. We have a regular suburban plot. We're here in North Texas, so my growing zone is 8A. And so we don't have a lot of land, but we are growing a lot in a little bit of space. So I'll just show you guys kind of some stuff I have going on here. I have this fern here, and this fern I got this year, and a family of birds took up residence in here. So there was baby birds in there. I think they've moved on now. And then over here, I've got my little patio box. This is some cilantro that it's going to seed. So I'm just letting it go to seed because you can eat the leaves of cilantro fresh, and then when they go to seed, these little seeds here, they become coriander. And I'm letting this dry out, and I'll save the seeds and I'll have coriander spice. And then I've got some tomatoes here. This is just a small bush variety that I accidentally started too many seeds. I grew 99% of my garden from seed this year, so I was really proud of myself for that. Usually I buy a lot of nursery starts, but this year I wanted to save a lot of money, so I started all my own seeds. And this is one of the seedlings that I had here. Now, a couple of my hot peppers didn't do so good, so I do have a couple of hot peppers here that I got, and I'm just going to plant those in when I pull out this coriander. And then I've got marigolds here that to help bring in the pollinators. And I've got I love marigolds. It's like one of my favorite flowers, so I've got lots of different varieties. Here's some French marigolds here. And then I've got some bachelor's button that I'm going to transplant. These were seeds that I started. And I like to mix flowers throughout the vegetables. When I first started gardening, I started gardening a few years back in California, actually. And when we moved to Texas, it's been a totally different learning curve. Everything is different here. A lot of things that would grow in California won't grow here in Texas. So I've been learning a lot. But when I first started gardening, I mostly did flowers and succulents. And so a couple years ago, I just started really getting into vegetable gardening. I had grown herbs and tomatoes here and there throughout the years. But now we're expanding. My goal is really to grow a lot of my family's food for the year and supplement, so we don't have to spend as much at the grocery store. So over here, I've got a couple of different things going on. I start most of my seeds inside in the controlled, but when it gets nice weather, I like to start some of the seeds outside. So over here, I've got different seeds going. These are different kinds of sunflowers that I have going here. These are the yellow hybrid sunflowers, and these are just getting about to the size that I'm going to pot them up. And I've got some nasturtiums here. These are looking kind of sad in the sun. They're kind of getting sunburned, so I'm going to have to transplant those. And then I've got some peppers. This is Dole Hill green peppers here, and these are Anaheim peppers. And then another sunflower, Incredible. These are short variety sunflowers. They only get to be about 20 inches. And then I've got some other things that I potted up here that haven't quite came up yet. This is another tomato. This is a honeycomb hybrid variety. So now that it's kind of outgrown its stake, I'm gonna have to figure out another staking method here. And then I've got some peppers here. And I've been growing a lot of things in these grow bags because I don't have a lot of raised bed space yet. Next year, the goal is we want to expand the garden and get drip irrigation and put some more raised beds in. So I have, this is an Anaheim chili. And then I had some beets planted around the perimeter, but they are very sad looking in the sun. The heat is just getting so oppressive here that a lot of things that didn't take off right away, they are starting to die out. And then over here I have, this is a butternut squash. This is a butter bush squash. So instead of vining out really big, it's going to become a bush. And so I have it in this grow bag. I'm trying it in this grow bag this year. And then I've got some different marigolds here. This is a different variety here. And my labels are kind of getting rubbed off in the sun. This is Marigold Bright Lights. So this is kind of like a French type marigold. And then over here, these are my Seminole pumpkins. And I have this right here so the bunnies don't, they don't eat it, because the bunnies like to come in and destroy my seedlings. Last year I had a bunch of lettuce and cabbages that were looking really great, and the bunnies just came in and totally ate it, and it was really sad. So last year I did pumpkins in August, because that's when they said that you were supposed to plant them, but it got cold and I didn't get much of a harvest at all. So this year I've started those in June. So we just started those pumpkins a couple weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago. And then if you come over here, show you kind of what we have going on. When we started this garden here, it was literally just a blank square. We had nothing out here. They are huge. They're about 7 foot tall now, and pretty soon I should be getting some heads on them. The heads are starting to form, but I don't know if you can see them up there. And then I've just got some nasturtiums and some marigolds down below. And here, these are my Jack Be Little pumpkins. These would be little pumpkins for decoration. And again, I've got this cover over it just to protect it from the bunnies. And behind me, this is my main garden space. There's different things going on in here. This was a fountain that we got secondhand, and the pump was broken, so I decided to transform it into a planter. So this is my pollinator garden. That was kind of my vision for it, and it has also my herbs in there. So at the bottom, I've got some basil down here that I'm letting go to seeds, because it's bringing in a lot of like bees and wasps, and you want those to pollinate the garden. I've got some oregano. It actually came from up here. This was Italian oregano, and it self-seeded, and so now I've got some oregano down there. And I've got some cosmos, different varieties. These are the purple cosmos, and I've got some orange cosmos. Those are just like beautiful. I didn't know how beautiful they were going to be when I planted them. I really love those. And behind, there's a crepe myrtle tree here. This was just a teeny tiny tree when we planted it, and it is getting very large and doing very well, so I'm very excited about that. I love crepe myrtles. I think they're just the most beautiful trees, and I had never really seen them before we moved to Texas, so I've got a couple of those here in my backyard. And then I've got some different varieties of petunias and coleus and marigolds and dianthus all sprinkled in through here. And some of these I actually did buy as transplants, and a lot of these were just seeds, and I threw them down there, and then they just bloomed and went crazy. I've got some parsley here. That's getting quite big. I had some Greek oregano in the front, and the parsley just took it over. And also I had some bachelor's buttons and chives, and my zinnias just like went crazy this year. And so I have large, huge, beautiful zinnias here. And this was a tiny mum that I had planted out here last year, and I thought it died over the winter, but it didn't. It came back nice and beautiful. And I got some African daisies here, and also so there's some lemon balm, as you can see through here. I did not know that lemon balm was in the mint family when I planted it, so I'm probably going to pull that out because I don't want it to go crazy. And then we'll go back here into the entrance to the garden. This is a temporary fence that we had to put up because, like I said, we were having a problem with bunnies. So Roy just kind of threw this up here. This is probably not going to be the final fence. We want to get something a little bit more sturdy. And also the garden is going to get expanded next year. So I will be moving this back a little bit, probably another 5 or 6 feet, just to give more growing space. Because as you can see, this is like right on the back of this box here. And so I don't have much space to get on the back side, so I don't really like the way that's working out. So we're going to make it a little bit bigger, and I want to have a little bit more room to grow. I've been supplementing my space with grow bags. So as you can see, I've got a lot of grow bags back here. In the far corner here, those are carrots, and those are almost ready to be pulled. Those are getting quite big. And then I've got okra here, and let me pull back the leaves where you can see there's okras right there. And with okra, you want to let it get about 5 inches at the most before you harvest them, because Okra, you have to check it every day because one day it'll be small like that, and then tomorrow it'll be 10 inches long. They grow kind of crazy. But if you let them grow too long, then they get hard and they're not very good. So I've got okra mixed in here, and then I'm going to do some maintenance because these tomato vines are just getting kind of out of control, as you can see. But I'm constantly pruning and keeping this, you know, as best I can. This here is yellow pear tomatoes, and they're actually coming from that plant back there. So this vine, it has some fruit on it, so I'm gonna let this fruit kind of come to maturity, and then we're gonna trim this vine back here. And below that, I've got some more marigolds, and this is a jalapeno plant, and I don't know if you can see, it's got some tiny little jalapenos on here. So I'm excited, finally getting some jalapenos. There was what they're calling Peppergate 2023. So a lot of people that ordered certain pepper seeds, they didn't get them, like jalapenos. A lot of jalapenos are turning out to be banana peppers, which actually did happen to me. I'll show you as we get over there. Not all of my jalapeno seeds were truly jalapeno seeds. So it's kind of funny. In some of my gardening groups, it's been funny to see all the different types of peppers that are coming out. They're not what people thought they were gonna be. This here is celery. As you can see, it's getting kind of attacked a little bit by the aphids. It was a little bit bitter, so I think it needs more water. That's why I haven't picked it yet. This is an Anaheim chili. So this is just starting to get blooms on it. So it should have some nice peppers. This is a weed. I'll just pull this out. But this is starting to get some flowers on it, so I'm excited to get some chilies off of this. This was cilantro also, and it is going to seed, as you can see. So it's almost dry, it's almost ready to pull it out. I'll probably pull that out in the next couple days or so. And then I'll have lots of coriander seed. Coriander, you can either do it as seeds or you can grind it up and have ground coriander. And then behind that, I have a pepper plant here. And we were running out of cages because I started so many pepper seeds, and I just couldn't bear to let them go to waste. So Roy has come up with a little solution here in the meantime to kind of give these some support, and I need to trim this one back. But this is a cherry tomato. It's a honeycomb hybrid, so I don't want to over prune it because cherry tomatoes don't like it when you prune them too much. So that is one thing that you want to keep in mind, is kind of like the space in between your walkways. These actually seemed quite large, but then when we put in the grow bags, it's kind of encroaching. So next year we're going to make a little bit more space in here. I've got some roses. These roses were actually here before we started the garden, so I'm kind of just leaving that here. I'm gonna rearrange some things next year. I'm gonna actually reorient these beds so they're going long ways next year. So I think I'll get a little bit more space that way. And then over here, these are my bush beans. These are kind of at the end of their life, but these are golden wax beans. You can see them here. There's still a few on there, so I'm just gonna let those few ones that are left on there mature, and then we'll be pulling those out. I have a marigold that I put in here with them, and it's just going nuts. It's loving this spot, so I will probably let that stay. And pretty soon we're gonna be getting ready for the fall garden, so as things die back from the spring garden, I'll be pulling that out and planting in my fall crops. This is another honeycomb hybrid tomato that's growing behind. Actually, it's from this plant, but it's kind of encroaching on this space here. But as you can see, the honeycomb hybrid, it makes orange tomatoes, and they're really yummy and they're really cool looking. I really like those. And then below it, I've got some basil sprinkled in and a pepper, which, as I mentioned, Peppergate 2023, this was supposed to be a jalapeno. It is not a jalapeno pepper. It looks like a banana pepper, so not quite sure, but these are definitely not jalapenos. So we're gonna find out if those are hot or if they're sweet. I'm not quite sure. I'm hoping that they are sweet peppers because I don't particularly like hot peppers, so I don't want anything too spicy. And then back here, I've got another honeycomb hybrid. This is a magnolia tree that we had planted when we first moved in before we started the garden. So that's another reason why I kind of want to reorient these beds to be going this way so that I have more space. And then back in the back here by the cucumber beetles, so it's starting to bounce back. So I'm happy about that. This right here, this is tomato big pink. So it is just starting to give me some ripe tomatoes on here. I'm excited. They're big beefsteak type tomatoes. And then right next to it, I have my Roma tomatoes here. And they are starting to, these are determinate, the Romas are determinate, so they are starting to come in quite nicely. And then next to the Roma tomatoes, I've got a small, this is one of the plants that I actually did purchase, and this is giving me small, about 2-inch slicing tomatoes, and they're actually really good. I really like them. They're kind of like a mix between paste tomatoes and they're called Little Napoli. So those have been really good for us, and it's been a great producer. This is what they call a bush variety tomato. So if you are in a small space, like if you have a patio garden, these type of tomatoes are really good because they don't go crazy like these vining tomatoes do. And then this is lemon cucumber. Actually, my husband put this in here. I thought it was a bush zucchini, so that's why it wasn't trellised. I wasn't expecting it to go like this, but it turns out it wasn't a bush zucchini. It was a happy accident. This was a lemon cucumber. So if you look closely, you can see there's some lemon cucumbers there. It's been a great producer. It's given me lots of cucumbers, and it actually started growing up the tomato, so it kind of made its own trellis here. And actually over there you can see there is a lemon cucumber right there that's almost ready. And this is another honeycomb hybrid. I started a lot of honeycomb hybrid seeds. I wasn't aware of how well it was going to do, so I think I have more of those than anything else in my garden. But as you can see, it's giving me lots and lots of little orange tomatoes. Every time I turn around, I've got those, and that's great. So I'm going to freeze them and find lots of uses for them. Over here in the back, I've got bell peppers. And this is another okra plant. These are okra, as you can see, like I was saying yesterday, this okra, come in close so you can see. Yesterday, this okra was tiny, and now today, it is like 5 or 6 inches long. So I'll have to come back and harvest that one. The lettuce here that I've harvested this a couple times and cut it back, and it's growing again. And then I've got a couple peppers, and my poor lettuce, the romaine lettuce, was just getting attacked by cucumber beetles. Cucumber beetles have been the biggest pest in my garden this year, and they have really, even with the organic pesticides, they have really just been kind of wreaking havoc. So, oh my goodness, this is the garlic that I forgot to pull. Let's see if it's still any good. Oh, there you go. How funny. So I will have to take that and cure it, but I don't know if that was a volunteer or if I just forgot about that one, but so I have more garlic. But I've got some basil in here, and this bed is about done, except for the okra. So I'll be cleaning out this bed and getting it ready for my fall garden. I'm gonna grow some cabbages in there, so that'll be exciting. And then these are more nasturtiums. So everyone kept on saying, plant nasturtiums, they are great, and they are great. But the thing about it is I did not realize that they will take over your entire bed. So if you plant nasturtiums, just keep that in mind. Actually, these nasturtiums had gone all the way over here. We pulled a lot of them out. As you can see, there's some laying over there. We pulled a lot of them out to make room because they were crowding out my beets. I had forgotten that I even planted beets there because the nasturtiums were taking over, and they were crowding out my kale. I had some kale in here. So we just went ahead and pulled that out. And getting ready for the fall garden, I have some pumpkins here. So these pumpkins are, they're doing great, but this is too much pumpkins for this little space. So I will be thinning this and moving them to another location so they can grow bigger. And then I got some more marigolds here in the back. Those are just to bring in the pollinators. And you can see that bell pepper plant. It's starting to fall over. I'm gonna have to stake that up. And then here I've got another bush variety tomato. This is a bush steak, it's like a beefsteak tomato, but a small bush variety. And then I've got peppers here. This is supposed to be Anaheim peppers, but we will see if that's what it really is. And then in this bed, I was trying the square foot gardening method. So I do have a lot of things growing in here. My watermelon, I wanted it to kind of just trail off the side, which is what it's doing. And then we have a watermelon here. So that's exciting. This is my first year growing watermelon. And got some marigolds in here just to bring in the pollinators. And this is a rainbow tomato. So these are growing well and it's doing good. Over here, so I had some patty pan squash and some zucchini in here, and they were doing amazing. And then unfortunately the squash vine borers got them, so we did have to pull most of those out. I did stick a pumpkin in there. This is supposed to be resistant to squash vine borers, so we will see how that does. And then another rainbow tomato is here, and then another watermelon plant, which is my goal was for it to trail over the fence, which is what it's doing. So as you can see, there's another watermelon growing right over there. And then behind, this is my tomato jungle here. So I have some marigolds in the corner, and then I've got some more peppers here in the front. And then this is where the yellow pear tomato is, and I'm going to trim this back a little bit. I wasn't sure this year about pruning versus not pruning my tomatoes. I have definitely landed on the pruning side, just for space sake, because they are giving me a very good yield, even with pruning. So I've got some more honeycomb hybrid tomatoes in here, some zinnias, and this bed again is another one that's getting taken over by crabgrass, so I have to come through and kind of weed through here. The crabgrass is prolific, and it seems like I'm weeding it every week. So if you guys have some suggestions of things to keep the crabgrass down, I will be very happy to hear that. Roy will come through with the weed whacker, and he'll take care of this on the edges here. And this bed is almost about done too. So with the exception of the tomatoes, most of this will be coming out, and the fall garden will be going in here. I'm just gonna let these, I have some radishes here on the side. I'm gonna let those mature. I'm gonna weed around them a little bit and let those mature, and then we'll be pulling out this bed. This is lemon basil. This is amazing. It smells so good. And then my other cilantro that was here, it's going to seed, and some more basil back here. And then I've got some zinnias. So we have got one more garden area that I love to show you, so come on over. So this is kind of my container garden area, and here I've got some more of my beefsteak tomatoes. If you come in closely, you can kind of see those. These are the beefsteak tomatoes here, and they're growing quite nicely. They should be getting ripe soon. And then just below those, I've got some marigolds, and I've got some peppers, jalapenos. These are supposed to be mild jalapenos, but again, Peppergate 2023, we will see if that's truly what they are. And this is just a handful of seeds. I had a beautiful rose plant in here. Oh my gosh, there is I think that's a caterpillar. If you come in closely, you can kind of see these guys. That's okay. I want them to be on the marigolds. I just don't want them to be on the vegetables. I had a beautiful rose plant here that my dog trampled, and it died. So I just threw a handful of seeds in there because I wanted to see what would happen, and this is what I got. I got some nasturtiums and some zinnias and some marigolds coming up here. And so sometimes happy accidents like that, they just make the most beautiful garden scenery. And then over here in this container, I have some more what was supposed to be jalapenos, but as you can see, they are not jalapenos. So those look like banana peppers. So that's kind of funny. And then this is also supposed to be a mild jalapeno. And then I've got poblano pepper back there. It looks nice to find out. And I got another Roma tomato back here, and those are getting some flowers on it, and some petunias. And then my shishito peppers, the shishito pepper, a bunny or something ate the top of it off of it, and I thought it was totally dead, but it's not. So it's been giving me some peppers, so I'm really excited about that. Over here, these are rainbow tomatoes, and they're just getting big enough to eat. And shishito pepper kind of like made its way through here, so it's just been growing through the middle of it, and I'm fine with that. I've been getting peppers off of that, so that's exciting. And then I've got some more yellow pear tomatoes here, and over here some marigolds just tucked into the corner to bring in pollinators. And then over here I've got another crepe myrtle, which I'm really excited. We almost lost this one in the freeze, but it's coming back, so that's great. And in the corner back there, my daughter, she wanted a tropical garden, so that's kind of what my goal is over here. I've got some elephant ears in the back, and then some zinnias and some lamb's ears, so this is just kind of a tropical feel in this corner, and it's filling in really nicely. I got some calla lilies in the front. Those are almost at the end, so you know, they were blooming very nicely in the beginning of the spring. These are the giant marigolds. Those are really pretty. If you get in close, you can see how big they are, and I really love those. And then I've got hydrangeas. I had a lot of really pretty hibiscus here, and the freeze killed them, so I replaced them with hydrangeas because those are cold hardy. So those will definitely survive. And you can see we've got some wasps and different pollinators in there, so I'm not going to get too close on those, but they're doing their job because they are pollinating all the veggies. And then a huge giant sunflower here. And these are some canna lilies that I have growing here that my sister-in-law gave me from their place, and they are just been taking off very beautifully. I probably will pop one of those into the tropical area for next year, because those you can just transplant them and they grow and spread on their own. So if you want something that's low maintenance, those are definitely a good low maintenance, and they do well here in the Texas heat.